And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking with Daniel Roberts, whom you're going to know and love here in just a few minutes. Daniel, thanks for taking some time and spending some time with me here on the podcast.
Glad to do it, Michael.
Well, it's going to be a great interview. Daniel is a veteran attorney, and he's an expert coach for attorneys. And he founded a company called coachingforlawyers.com. And if you're not an attorney, don't stop listening, because what Daniel has to share is totally applicable to you as well. Because as I perused his website, there's all kinds of information there that was good for me, and I know it's going to be good for you as well. So, Daniel, I know you do a lot of coaching with attorneys specifically, and there's a reason for that, because you have a background as an attorney, right? Tell us a little bit about that background and how did you end up getting into coaching for lawyers?
Okay, Michael. Well, I graduated from law school, went to work for a small firm. They said, here's 100 files, and the courthouse is that away. And kind of a trial by fire. And I started doing everything. And then slowly over the years, I started culling out the things that I didn't like as much. And I was worked for the firm, was a solo, then was also a founding partner of a firm, then went solo. And after about 25 years, I said, this is fine, great, but I'm kind of bored. I've done it.
Yeah.
And so this was back in the mid 90s, and executive coaching was just getting started. And so I heard about it and I got interested, and I enrolled in a course for teaching you how to be a coach, which, by the way, is interesting because in coaching, you have to unlearn a lot of the things you learned as an attorney.
Yes.
Meaning, instead of just telling people what to do, you have to ask them questions and ideally get them to come to the right answer with a little prodding.
On their own, yes.
Anyway, I started taking the course and graduated. And, at that time I had a family tragedy. My wife died. And I said, and I found that when you have a challenge in your life, it's often easier to make a major decision. And that's what happened with me. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to start over. I'm going to, let go of the law practice I'm so bored with and take on coaching, leap of faith. And I'm actually going to move to California. I always wanted to live to California.
Yeah.
And bring my girls with me and start over. And so that's what I did. And so that was in about 97. And then I've been coaching lawyers ever since.
Wow. That's a powerful story, man. Thank you for sharing that. My background, you don't know this, but I lost my dad in a motorcycle accident in '87. So, and that was, it's really interesting. We were talking before this about, our business and how we help people. It was really interesting when I went home that night after we'd been to the hospital and everything, got the news, there was a note on the table from my dad to me telling me where he was and everything. He said, "See you later, Dad." I have that note hanging in my closet today, right? That's like probably my most valued treasure. But I really think, Daniel, because of that note, it got me to start writing letters to my wife, to my kids on their birthday anniversaries. I'm a big letter writer. I think it's also why I do what I do, because I help people write, in a sense, create their message to proclaim to the world. I think I can trace it all the way back down to that note. So a life-changing event caused me to shift, very much like you, just in a different way. So thank you for sharing that. So you started coaching, executive coaching, back when it wasn't a popular thing. It was brand new, which is really cool. And I think the neat thing I really like about you, Daniel, on a lot of things, but is you're coaching your peers in a sense that you were an attorney, you understand what it takes to be an attorney and all the ins and outs, and that's who you're coaching. And I really like that dynamic. Unpack that a little bit. What kind of areas, what kind of areas do you coach attorneys on? Are they solopreneurs? Are they firms? Does it matter? And then I want to get into what's going on in them as they would reach out to you. But what types of attorneys are you working with?
Okay. I decided early on that I was not going to limit it to maybe big firm partners or solos or anyone. So my idea is just to listen to each person, find out if they've got something that I can help them with, and then decide, offer my services if I can be of help. And so, Michael, I've coached managing partners in big law firms. I've coached uh, associates and help them become partners,
Mm-hmm.
solos, small firms. I've coached attorneys in the U.S. and many states, but also in a number of foreign countries. And I found that it's interesting that maybe the statutes and all are different, but the practice of law is the same pretty much, no
Yeah.
matter where you are.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I've been open to to working with people. The last client that I had that was really interesting was in, and I can't say the name of the country, but in the Middle East.
oh,
And so
wow.
interesting because some of the things, especially about marketing, that we take for granted here, are no-nos over there.
Oh, very
And
interesting.
so, I learned a lot from him as he learned from me. But so, I listen to who it is, and then I decide if I can help them, I will.
That's very cool. It's interesting what you said there is the practice of law, if I heard this right, is similar no matter where you go. The other thing I think is similar that I really want to dive into is what's going on internally with the person, the struggle of being an entrepreneur, of being an attorney, the struggle of balancing productivity, family, career goals, personal goals, all of that. We all struggle with that. Have you found that to be a consistent issue, I guess, with whether it's a big firm attorney, a managing partner, or a solopreneur, let's say, in a law firm? Are they all struggling with similar type issues like that?
Well, they're struggling with something. That's why they contact me.
Mm.
And, I work in the areas of marketing, productivity and profitability, career, and retirement now. I'm doing work with attorneys of my age group that are retiring.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they come to me with a reason to get some help.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the life balance that you're talking about, I advertise that, but interestingly, no one has ever hired me just for life balance. Now, that may
Yeah.
say something about attorneys. I don't know, but that's interesting. But I always try to incorporate that in
Sure.
my coaching.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they're way out of whack and they don't even realize it. Sometimes they're just not very self-aware. And
Well,
oftentimes I even ask them to do some diagnostic testing so that we can actually identify issues that can affect their performance as an attorney, because who we are as people and what's going on at home can have a significant impact on what you do at the office.
it really does, and vice versa, right? But
Yeah,
it is
that's true. Yeah.
super true. Um, let's talk a little bit about your program. Or, well, first of all, before we go into your program and how do you actually work with people, let's talk about. You said everybody has an issue or a situation before they reach out to you. They're dealing with something. There's an internal dialogue happening in their mind, or something that's waking them up at night. What are some typical signs that you've heard from your clients? What are they experiencing right before they reach out and call you? Is there any way to categorize anything like that?
Well, there are various reasons, but one big reason is money.
Hmm.
And it's a business, and as well as a profession, but they don't really teach us how to market in law school, at least
Right.
not when I went to school.
They still
And
don't.
so a lot of times they're stressed. They're not making enough money. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to present themselves in the best light to get business. And so that's a big reason that they'll contact me, and I'm able to help them structure who their ideal client is, what they have to offer, what tools they want to use, and set up a program so that they can in an organized and efficient way spend some of their time marketing. And marketing is it's critical, and most attorneys just kind of do it halfway.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, that sounds good. Well, maybe I'll try this, or maybe I'll sponsor a little league team, or maybe I'll get some SEO." And they don't really have a comprehensive plan. So what I do as a coach is I help them I corral all of those impulses into a plan that they can follow. Another issue is career. And I've worked with major partners in major law firms that have been fired, and we have to get them a new job. And I've worked with young attorneys, senior associates that want to make partner, and we set up a plan to accomplish that. What do we need to do? So what are they expecting out of you? Are they expecting that you bring in, X number of dollars in business every year? Are they expecting that you bill so many hours? Are they expecting you to maybe have sat in on X number of depositions? So we figure out what the criteria is as best we can. Sometimes it's a black box. And then we set out a plan so that we're going to accomplish each one of those things in time for them to be considered for partner. So that's another thing that we do. And also career-wise, I've worked with a number of attorneys who've decided they've realized that they're not really cut out to be an attorney.
Yep.
And matter of fact, I'm just working with a young fellow that was a litigation partner in big law, a big law firm. And he realized he didn't like big law and he didn't like litigation. And so we helped him transition with the skills that he had to another position, and that was very successful. So a lot of the time I help people get out of the law practice, or maybe it's just changing the law practice area. Maybe they realize that they want to do something else. They want to do estate planning rather than litigation or corporate securities and something. So help them with that transition.
That's great. And that has to be fulfilling for you with that young attorney going, I told you earlier before we started recording how I found myself in prison. I mean, not a literal prison, but an emotional prison when I was in a job that I hated for a couple of years. And very similar, if you're in litigation and you hate litigation, that would be a prison. How do I escape? Well, that's one thing you can do. And the other thing I just wanted to throw out here for everybody listening, Daniel, I am a firm believer that everybody needs a coach. We need somebody on the outside looking into us and our business who's really able to ask those great questions. And you're right. When you started going down the road of coaching and how you have to unlearn, that is the one thing I've learned about the great coaches that I have around me is they ask amazingly penetrating questions that make me stop and think. And that really is the value of what you do in coaching, is get your client to maybe think differently, open up some opportunities that they haven't thought of, right? And it's really freeing when you have somebody like yourself available that I can reach out to and say, okay, Daniel, here's what's going on. You get to reframe my thinking a lot just through the questions you ask from the experience you bring to the table. And the freedom that brings to your clients has to be amazing.
It's very, very satisfying, Michael. It is. And when you see someone that makes a great career transition, or all of a sudden from being stressed about money, they're doing fine. Anything like that just gives me an intrinsic reward. And that's one reason I do it. It's not all about the money. It's about helping people. And that's a skill that I have. One distinction I want to point out, though, about lawyer coaching as opposed to coaching in general, if you've gone to coaching school, if you have the skills, if you know how to listen, if you know how to ask questions and so forth, that's immensely valuable. And anyone can coach anyone, if you've got the skills.
Right.
I will say, though, that with lawyer coaching, sometimes it's more of a consultant role or a hybrid, because they want to know what I know. They want to know what I've learned, and they want to benefit from the experience that I've had both in my 25 years of law practice and in my 20 whatever years of coaching lawyers. And I will tell you, I've learned way more about practicing law since I stopped practicing law. And I've worked with so many people in so many different practice areas and so many different jurisdictions that I feel like I've got a wealth of experience and sometimes advice or suggestions, or have you thought about this? So that helps a lot. One thing I do want to point out too, though, is that sometimes you can tell from talking to a client that they're tentative about taking a major step. And I have on occasion languaged the right way, given them permission to take that step.
Yes.
And that's what they were looking for. They were looking for someone else to give them permission. And they accept that and they make the change, and that's so rewarding.
Yes. That is so good, because how many times do we have those limiting beliefs within our head, and we're looking for that permission to step out, and we need a coach, a father figure to say, you can do it. I believe in you. I just wrote I've got a dear friend of mine who's graduating from college. And I wrote her, and she's 21 or so, been around our family for years. I wrote her a graduation letter, and I put in there, you need to live your dreams. I believe in you. You can do it. Just all of these affirming things to help her get past those limiting beliefs that are in her head, to go, whatever you want to do, go. You have the ability. And I love writing letters like that, right? And I'm hoping that when she gets it, she's like, okay, here I go. And she's not stifled. That's my hope and my dream. But exactly, we all do that. And we need somebody on the other end of the phone or the Zoom going, you have permission, step out. And so, too many times we fear failure. And I tell people all the time, you just step out and you try it. And the only way you can really fail is just by not trying. And then you live with the regret for the rest of your life. Try it. You're big enough. You can bounce back. It's really not that big of a deal.
You're so right.
But many times we need somebody like you who has that experience. And I loved what you said. And that's why I want, if you're an attorney listening to this and you're thinking about coaching, reach out to Daniel, because you've got the legal experience plus the coaching of attorneys. Talk about a wealth of knowledge there. It's like a walking encyclopedia that you can tap into that is, well, very rare. Let me put it that way. And in the different areas, you're not, my expertise, Daniel, is marketing, right? I don't know much about profitability or productivity, and don't know anything about retirement. So you've got this cadre of areas because of who you are and where you've been and everything that is just really unique. And so that's one of the things I love about having guests on here that are so different, and you're just laid back. That's the other thing I really like about it, is you're not, I don't know if you are or not, but I wouldn't peg you as a type A personality, which I'm not either. I'm not either. I say, I'm usually a D or an E or an F, but I like to have fun. But you find somebody like you who I just perceive you're a great listener, and you have one or two zingers when you ask that question, because you're based on your experience. I feel like you're just going to be able to penetrate most of the time and ask a good question. It's like, wow. And so many times, Daniel, it's one or two questions that really help you go, never thought of it that way. And then they realize they've got within them what they need to execute most of the time, right? Is that what you found?
Oh, yeah. And sometimes when they get those revelations, the excitement is contagious. You can see, and they're thinking, oh, yes, I can do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's so gratifying to see that. And you think, wow, I had a small part in that.
Yes.
They did the work. All I did was just ask some questions and talk. They did the work, but yet, I had a role. And
you had wonderful. A role. Yeah. Very much going back to my prison, right? I'm in prison. You have the key to the door. You unlocked the door to the prison. I open it. I've got the freedom now to do all kinds of things, but I need somebody to unlock the door. And that's really through your questioning, through your understanding of who they are. You're unlocking the door of their prison, whatever that prison is, and saying, oh no, there's freedom here. Where are you going to take it? It's theirs to take. It's their career, but you're just unlocking the door through questions and helping them see things in a new way. Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I help them. Yeah, I do help unlock the door.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even know they're in prison. They don't have any idea.
Right.
And sometimes I can say, wait a minute. So you're saying this and that. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why are you doing that? And sometimes I get this, well, I don't know. I've just been doing it that way for years. And
totally. And we don't know why we do something, because we're so busy practicing law in this case that we don't think about why we're doing certain things, and we listen to them, what they say, and it has to be done this way. Who says? Who says it has to be done this way, right? And so many times we get locked into those prisons or those pathways, and we need somebody like you who goes, that just doesn't really make sense. Have you thought about this? And yeah, just a few questions. So in your coaching, is it 1 or 2 calls, or do you do 6 months at a time? How does your coaching work?
Okay. Well, it's a combination of person to person, and it can be either Zoom or telephone.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have sessions on a regular basis, usually about an hour. It can extend a little bit if we're really cooking. And we meet regularly, depending on the client's financial, situation and time. Meet usually 2, 3, or 4 times a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do in the sessions is, we do the one-to-one. We first of all, we formulate what's the scope of the work. Are we going to work on marketing? Are we going to work on marketing and productivity? Is this all about career change? We figure out what we're going to do. Then we set up a plan with goals and a timeline. And then the client is assigned field work that they do in between the coaching sessions.
Good.
And it's interesting how that field work sometimes gets done the night before the coaching session,
Yes.
but it gets done.
Yeah.
And the combination of the field work plus what we do in our conferences, the brainstorming, the accountability, all of that we do within our session, the combination is what moves the client forward.
Yeah.
And as far as the duration, I've had clients for as long as 9 years, and I've helped them through a lot of their career, and they just keep making things get better and better and better. But I'm stepping away from that now, Michael, because I want to live more of my life. I want to travel more and so forth. I'm doing a little life balance thing.
Good for you.
So I'm doing, shorter sessions now. So probably a month, maybe 3 months, maybe. And it kind of depends. It has to fit around the schedule. Sure. But they're real specific and they're going to be more intense. So I haven't advertised that on my website or anything yet, but that's the direction I'm going.
That's good. And I love that because you're building your life and you're creating your business to support your lifestyle. And I'm a big fan of that. And I would just call out to attorneys listening right now. If you're in a situation where you want that, where you need some help, just reach out to Daniel. And so Daniel, to make sure I get this right, it's coachingforlawyers.com, right?
That's right.
All right, that's the website. You can just go right there and all of his information there. You can reach out and schedule a call with him. Learn about what he does, his background. You can tell he's just I'll call you a gentle giant of coaching. How about that? Just a great guy to talk with and see if he can help you. I'm certain he can, but make sure the fit's right. And if you're struggling in any way, just reach out to him. He's obviously got the background with being an attorney. Coaching attorneys for 20 some odd years. He's got a wealth of knowledge for you, and everybody else who's listening to it, just glean from him and learn that everybody needs a coach. And that's one of the reasons, Daniel, I wanted you on here, is not just to unpack how you do things and who you are, because I think there's a great value there, but just to help everybody understand we need coaches in our lives. We need outside perspectives, and we limit ourselves so many times as business owners into those, what I call those prisons. And we need people like you, Daniel, in our lives to just ask us questions, give us a new perspective, and give us that permission to make those decisions that many times can be life-changing as we find the freedom that we're really desiring, and that gives us more joy to serve more people. So let me just say thank you, Daniel, for doing what you do in such a unique way. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well, I've enjoyed having you on here, and I know a lot of people are going to get value of this, and hopefully they'll reach out to you and just connect with you and see how you might be able to help them at coachingforlawyers.com. So Daniel Roberts, it's been a joy and an honor to have you with me. Thank you again for being here. And I wish you the best in all you do as you're creating your life and traveling a little bit more.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
You are welcome, sir.